to a new series of Side Krisis. And on this little batch we're doing here, we're going to be celebrating the Neo Geo, which is absolutely one of my all-time favorite systems ever. Where to even begin with this thing? So, well, first of all, let's note once again wearing a stupid shirt and a stupid hat. Because I've committed to the bit now. I feel like I'm trapped, and every time I do one of these, I need to wear stupid stuff. And that's fine. That is my cross to bear, my challenge, and I have absolutely accepted it. And you don't threaten me with a good time, because I will buy more dumbass clothes on Amazon, as will be the case. So, the Neo Geo came out in 1990. It was the first of its kind. It was an arcade platform and a home console all rolled into one. My memories of the Neo Geo as a kid. So the first exposure I ever had to the Neo Geo ever was waking up at like 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday, getting ready for my cartoons, for my programs. And there was a show called GamePro TV that was hosted by the immortal J.D. Roth of TV Funhouse fame. TV Funhouse I think is actually the Robert Smigel comedy thing. It was just called Funhouse. Anyway, if you're old, you know what that is. It was a wonderful game show. J.D. Roth actually turned out to be like a powerhouse television producer and was partnered with Ashton Kutcher. So try that on. I don't know if they're still working together or not. But they did a fine number of programs together, and it's important to promote J.D. Roth and all of his current doings. So anyway, on that issue of GamePro TV, and the other host was just like a really blatant Spicoli knockoff. I do recommend watching that show on YouTube. It's a great time. When J.D. Roth plays the straight man, and then the other guy is the Spicoli knockoff. Real good work, real good piece of business. And GamePro TV, yes, was obviously an offshoot of GamePro magazine, which was kind of if Nintendo Power was the Coca-Cola of video game magazines in terms of popularity, you got to say GamePro was the Pepsi, but maybe even on a different platform because it was multi-console. Not real journalism, not real criticism, just a way to sell kids stuff. But they did it maybe better than anyone in terms of volume. Certainly not in terms of content as you go back and look at that stuff as an adult. But anyway, bit of a digression. Let's go back on track. Let's talk about Neo Geo. So I first discovered the Neo Geo as a system on that episode of GamePro TV. And then like a week later, I remember going to a bowling alley local to where I lived. And they had an MVS, a multi-video system, aka the Big Red. And I remember it clear as day because it was such an impactful thing. But it was a 4-slot, which I think you've seen on episodes of Midlife Krisis, the main show. I own that bad boy and have owned a 4-slot. I'll do a separate video on that one of these days. But that's the first arcade cabinet I ever bought, and it was a big-ass deal. Real big deal for me because it was like a life goal being completed. But anyway, seeing that as a kid, the Big Red in an arcade, and seeing that you had 4 different arcade games to push a button and select through, and those arcade games were all of like really good quality. And for me, it was, in that first instance, it was the original Fatal Fury. It was King of the Monsters, which, I mean, come on. Like, might not be the best game, but when you're a kid and you like Godzilla, it's 1 + 1 = a hearty 2 there. It just makes a lot of sense. I think there was Magician Lord in that cabinet, which I'm definitely going to be playing here. And then the 4th game, I want to say, was a baseball game. Might have been Baseball Stars 2, one of those. For my money, and when it comes to Neo Geo baseball, I'm a Super Baseball 2020 man because robots, baby. That's the tippy top. So let's break down what we're playing today, the hardware-wise. I have one of these and have had one of these for a very, very long time. This is an Omega, crafted by friend of the show, arcadeworks.net. This is a special one. We call this the double gold because this was actually like a misprint. If most people who have an Omega, the top part, Omega, is in gold, and then this writing is in white. Mine was the double gold. This is one of the first ones that was made. because I've known Quan since before this was released. But I won't be playing on this today because unfortunately my machine is on the fritz. But when you love the Neo Geo, you have a billion different ways to play it. So I'm playing an MVS single slot board in a super gun, and I'm lined out SCART into my retro tink. You'll see there's a little bit of a graphical issue when you see some of the gameplay footage that I could not fix. But it's not like the worst thing in the world. So if you notice like a little distortion in the top, that's going to be what it is. And then you might see a little flicker here and there down at the bottom. But again, nothing's crazy. So I'm just putting that out there. That's the way we had to do it and the way it's got to be today. But I think the quality of the Neo Geo is going to just shine right through that. So real quick, more Neo Geo memory lane stuff. So I think I mentioned on the show before I owned a Neo Geo CD. That was the first Neo Geo hardware I ever owned. And then I bought that in Japan on my first trip to Japan in 2003. Sold it, which is going to happen. Regret selling it, yes, but what are you going to do? And then after that, I graduated to an AES, or a home system, which that was absolutely a life goal. Sold that and a big collection of games. I got in on that stuff like right away in the economic downturn. So 2010, 2011, I was lucky. I was doing okay work wise, and Neo Geo stuff at that time was cheap. And by cheap, I mean the games weren't thousands of dollars per copy; they were hundreds of dollars per copies. And some of them you could buy brand new at that time through like the Neo store, neogeo.com, which he was that guy Sean who runs that website, which I have been a frequenter of since 2001 or 2. But he had copies of SVC Chaos and King of Fighters 2002 and Matra Melee just sitting in his inventory that he was blowing out at that time, like $100 a piece. Anyway, fast forward, I amassed a pretty good collection of home system games by going to Game Dude in North Hollywood and pilfering their offerings. If you ever went in there and they had a fair amount of Neo Geo games back in 2010 through 12, we'll say, and then you went back there and there weren't so many games, that's me. I did that. So I sold all that shit, which is what's going to happen. I made a hefty profit on all of that, which on the one hand, it sucks because I'll never own it ever again. But on the other hand, hefty profits are cool. And I have a bunch of different ways to play Neo Geo. And today there are a million different ways to play Neo Geo. It's pretty neat. So I'll never go without when it comes to that stuff. I replaced my home system collection on MVS, which is kind of the way to go anyway. It's cheaper. The games are a little bit more rugged. And you have more options in terms of how you're going to play them. But one thing I have left from the home system collection is this copy of Metal Slug. No, this is not a real US copy of Metal Slug, because if it was, yeah, that's for sale, because you can sell that thing. I don't know when the last time a real Metal Slug US edition sold. Last I was paying attention to it, it was like around the $20,000 mark. So, and then that was like 10 years ago. So I'm sure if a real one has sold recently, it's going to be way more than that. The trick with that, though, is that so many people have bootlegged it. And as you can see, I did that too. So this is what's called a conversion. So let's open it up. Neo Geo home system games came in these wonderful boxes that are lovingly referred to as a shock box. Excuse me, not a shock box. This is a snap lock case. A shock box is an aftermarket thing. But let's open it up. Oh, that's satisfying. Big, heavy-duty plastic case. So mine, the cover of mine here is the real artwork, or a copy of the real artwork, I should say. But to keep things honest, my label on the cartridge, this is not the label of a real Metal Slug. It had different artwork entirely. And this is something that's always fun to do. So this is a home system video game. You'll notice it's got 2 PCBs in there because it's just crazy. So games like this for the Neo Geo started coming out in 1990. And just for perspective, so here's a Sega Genesis game, Shining Force 2, a real winner. And then this is a Neo Geo game. So I mean, look at that. It looks like it's going to eat it. Nom, nom, nom. So yeah, this, more than half of the appeal for me was how big these games were. Physically large. And gameplay-wise, they were also big as well. They would have... So cartridges used to be measured in megabits. So on your Genesis, 8 megabit, 16 megabit. Super Nintendo went up as high in America as 32. Neo Geo games would go all the way up to like 720 megabits with games like Metal Slug 3 and SVC Chaos. So that's a lot. And the game, because of that, the cost of the games was exorbitant. So brand new, those games, if you walked into like an EB Games back in the 90s, if you're lucky enough to find Neo Geo stuff, you're talking $200, $300 a pop, brand new. But yeah, now collecting for Neo Geo is insane. It's just, unless you're wealthy, avoid the home system. CD's kind of cool. You can buy SD card loaders, ODEs for that. So you can, that's one avenue to do it. There's a flash cart on the market for both the home system and MVS, which is the arcade version. Oh, real quick, this is what an arcade cartridge looks like. It has no label. It's not fancy at all. Well, it has this label, which is very, generic. But 2 PCBs. These are actually a different size than the home system. Reason being, back in the day, arcade operators obviously made money off of these, and it was cheaper to buy a home system game, even though the ROM chips on the cartridges are 1-to-1. They're exactly the same. The arcade data and the home console data is on each one of these cartridges, both MVS and home system. So, and I'll show that off in a bit here with the use of the Universe BIOS, which is kind of a must for Neo Geo. So anyway, I've had a whale of a time getting this thing off the ground. So I'm only going to do 3 Neo Geo games in this batch of Side Krisis. And then I will come on back once the good doctor finally fixes this Omega, because it does need to be fixed, because I miss it working. It's more or less, like, it looks just like a home system. That's kind of the appeal of it. But for right now, we're using the Super Gun. We're using a 1-slot Neo Geo arcade board. So we're making it work. So the first game that we're going to play through today is one of the more famous later released Neo Geo games. I love it. It's an all-time classic. There's a new version of this game coming down the pike by way of SNK. So a whole new Fatal Fury game is coming. So you may have guessed it. I'm playing Garou Mark of the Wolves today for the first deal. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to do one of these. I'm going to turn that sound on, and then I'm going to do this and appear right there at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And you guessed it, an old friend is with us.
I had a blast with Corey.
So did I.
We invented hamster and fell dog.
We absolutely did.
We went around the world.
And you know what? Let's just do a Corey Haim barrage and just see what happens. So this one, this one, this one, this one. Wow, that's pure chaos. That's absolute chaos. SVC chaos, pun intended. Oh, I'm so sorry. So anyway, here's Garou. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So right now I have, because of the Universe BIOS installed, I'm playing in home console mode. So that's why we have story mode, survival mode versus practice. Obviously, in an arcade cabinet, you're not going to have all those modes. But in fact, here I can just show this off. I will push A, B, and C and start at the same time. And so here's the in-game menu. And we can switch over just to show it. So by holding A, B, and C at startup, you can go here and to this menu. And let's go, we can change the region, which is on Neo Geo actually means a whole lot. A lot of blood. And we'll say Mai's assets and the jiggly animations of same are locked behind region. But, I like seeing English in my games when it's possible. So let's go with USA, and we had it on console mode before. So let's do, let's stick on console, just because there are more modes there. But you've seen this, so now you get it, how this works. Oops, push the wrong button there. And we want to go ahead and push start, or C button to get it started. Oh, that magical tone. That is the sound of my childhood appreciating from afar. So down the road from where I grew up was a donut store. And not only do they serve delicious donuts for affordable prices, but they also had a Neo Geo MVS there. And that's the unit that I grew up playing the most. And I think the owner of the donut store was a pretty big fan, because anytime a new game came out, like, she would have them pretty right away. Or maybe there was a relative there that was in the arcade business. I couldn't tell you. But
I had a blast with Corey.
and I had a blast playing Neo Geo at the donut store. So anyway, let's take a look at these characters real quick. So there's Terry. That's my man Terry. He's the only returning character from all the other Fatal Fury games. I do have the bosses unlocked on this. So Kane and Grant are the final bosses there. So Rock is actually Geese Howard's son, who was raised by Terry, which is pretty sweet. So let's pick Terry real quick, and we'll probably show off a couple more of these characters. But let's go with Uncle Terry for now. So where it says top set, this is like a new feature of the game. So you can control where it activates, so middle of the life bar, beginning of the life bar, or the end. And as long as you have that section of the life bar intact, you can do the top move, TOP. I don't know what it stands for. It's probably something kind of stupid, and that's fine.
The motto of, the two Corys are Corey and Corey, or Hamster and Feldog.
No, I don't think it's Hamster and Feldog. I think it stands for something else. But, so, let's get into this. We're going to show off how good this game looks. So again, this is a later release. I think it came out in 99. So this was SNK's answer to Street Fighter 3, which, I mean, SNK and Capcom were always rivals in the arcades. So when Capcom made a Street Fighter 3 and really showed off their 2D prowess and how good their graphics and animations were, SNK answered to that with this. So I'm just going to walk around as Terry for a little bit, probably get my butt kicked for a second, but I'm trying to show off how good the animations are. There's an incredible amount of frames in this game. So it's insanely good looking. Let's try that top move. That's the top move. C and D together, and that does that. And it gives you spacing. So if you're being crushed in the corner, you can hit that and kind of back the opponent off like that, which is cool. It's a defensive move. A lot of Terry's stuff has been changed a little bit in this version, but he has the same core moves. So Burning Knuckle, your Power Wave, all that good stuff. But as you may have noticed, if you know anything at all about Terry Bogard, see, I put it in English, and yet it's still in Japanese. I don't know what the deal is there. Whatever. Maybe this game just didn't have English. I doubt that. In fact, let's go ahead and soft reboot this system. That's another really cool feature of the Universe BIOS. Oh, by the way, I am playing, let me go ahead and do this real quick. So this is a joystick that I made using a Real Arcade Pro 3 for PlayStation 3. We used to have a D-sub port, but that bad boy broke off. So I had to actually wire the cable inside to the PCB, which is, it's better this way anyway. And yes, over there on the other side here, that is a silver cool spot because I am a world-class piece of shit. But anyway, these are all Sanwa parts, Sanwa joystick, bat top, because USA, baby. USA. So anyway, back to this. Now I'm going to the options here because y'all saw I'm on USA mode, right? And there it is. See, language is Japanese. Let's keep that difficulty down to 2 so that, I can look at least minimally competent in this game. So now we're on English. Tremendous. Okay. Let's do story mode. We're back to it. I'm picking Terry again because Terry's my dog. Love Terry. Always have, always will. Very excited to see Terry in Street Fighter 6. That was announced. They showed video. Maya is coming as well. But yeah, it's really, really cool. Terry, so there was that Arika made fighting game called Fighting Layer EX, which Arika made all the Street Fighter EX games, which are goofy and fun and wonderful, the 3D Street Fighter games. And Terry was a hidden character, or not, a DLC character in that. And he rules. So so Arika isn't Capcom officially, but they're made up of a bunch of Capcom people. But it's kind of safe to say that like Capcom has done stuff with Terry in the past Well, then they definitely have with the Capcom versus SNK games, the two of them. I ran out of top there. That's fine. All right, so Burning Knuckle, we gonna get her. We gonna get her. Look at the back. Those bells in the background are so neat and impressive. There we go. There's English. Didn't really need to do that, but now it just feels better. So this game, to own this game back in the day when it came out at a time when SNK was kind of heading towards bankruptcy, if not starting that whole chapter. So it was right before they were bought by a company called Playmore, which injected a little bit more cash into the deal and kept the lights on. But this game was ridiculously hard to buy. And so a home system version of this game costs the English and Japanese version, but the English version is, I don't even know how many thousands of dollars it's worth today. No clue. I never owned that on the home system. My most valuable game on the home system was an English Metal Slug 3 that I walked in to Game Dude one day after nailing a job interview, and they had it on their shelf. And even back then, this is 2010, finding a Metal Slug game in the wild like that for Neo Geo AES that didn't happen. So I immediately got defensive and used my big body to kind of stand in the way of that shelf to make sure it came home with me. And I think it was like $350, so with tax it was like around 400. Ended up selling that bad boy for $2,000. About 8 or 9 years later. There are days where I regret selling all that stuff because it meant so much to me. But at the same time, I have this version, which is it's a real copy. It's just on MVS. And so it's the exact same game, and basically I'm just whining about it. And what are you gonna do? There's a lot bigger problems in the world. All right, here we go. And let's do a super. Let's just try to do a super. Oh, too late. I forget how to do his supers, though. Today's humiliations, tomorrow's fuel for victory. By the way, that character I just beat up, his name is Kushnud Butt, which is great. Now, I think I have only 1 round fights on from the menu from the last time I played this game. Sometimes I just like to put this on and just like look at it and admire it, not really play it seriously, just to have it on. Because it is one of my all-time favorite Neo Geo games. It's certainly one of my all-time favorite video games, too. Especially in the realm of fighting games. Let's see. Look at that run. What a smug little brat. Kotumaru. There we go. And okay, S-Power. Let's see if I can remember his moves here. I believe he has just the standard power wave. Nope. He does not. There we go. Boom. Take that, you little idiot. Bam-o. Got him. 1 second left on the clock. All right, let's do this. Let's do another soft reboot. And we're going to go back to character select, pick another character. Picking another dude or lady. Okay, so there is one. Here, let's go to options real quick. Why it's defaulting to 1? That's weird. Anyway, let's go 2 and then 2. In language, English. Oh, I know why it's doing that. It's because the cartridge I have is Japanese. Oh well. Okay, story mode again. And okay, so here's the deal. This character's name is B. Janae. And yeah, it's kind of a nod to Jean Benet, which is really wildly inappropriate if you think about it. But, SNK does what SNK is going to do 25 years ago, and it's do that. So, anyway, if you don't know that story, I'd say don't Google it, because it's a terrible one. So here's T-Zoc. He is like the grappler of the game. He is a practitioner of the finest sport known to mankind, professional wrestling. And he's got a bird head. I don't know why it was a trend in the 90s in fighting games. I'm thinking of Tekken with King. What the trend was, so you have a pro wrestler, and then they have like a fairly accurate animal head that no one would ever wrestle in. It's a good trend, though. It's a cool trend. I'll say that. So T-Zoc is a lot more mobile than, let's say, a Zangief or a Hugo. He's still slow and tanky, but you can get it. I mean, just look at that dash I just did. He can get in there quick. He's got a couple full circle moves like Zangief, which I will try to pull one off here if I can. See, Rock is so quick. He's so quick and nimble. There we go. There's one. Right on your stupid head, Rock Howard. T-Zoc, so for me, Terry's always going to be my guy. I pick Terry in pretty much all the SNK games that has a Terry. But in this game, it goes Terry number 1, T-Zoc number 2. I just love the way he looks. I love his animation, and he's fun to for a grappling character. He's fun to play as. So those are a lot of boxes that he checks. And he's got, let's see if I can remember some of the. I should have maybe looked up some moves before I decided to play this game on YouTube. Lessons learned, I suppose.
I had a blast with Corey.
Yes. Yeah, let's do another hamster hurricane here.
I had a blast. The motto of the two Corys are Corey or hamster and fell dog.
Just fantastic. So I haven't updated the hamster board as of yet, but I will. I'm going to at some point. I need to sit down and play Double Switch and capture a bunch of gold from the one and only Canada's true son, Corey Haim. May his sweet angelic soul rest in peace for all eternity.
Easy there, compadre.
No, I mean it, Corey.
For all the shit that you pulled, I think you can.
I mean it.
Hear me out. I mean, I can
take that.
Only that.
So Kim Jae-hoon is, I believe, the son or nephew or something of Kim Kap-hwan of Fatal Fury fame as well. Fatal Fury was a massively popular, Fatal Fury 2 in particular, and Special, massively popular in Korea because of Kim Kap-hwan. He is a Korean Taekwondo expert. And at that time, we're talking, 30 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of Korean Taekwondo master representation in fighting games at that time. But it's, SNK really is like a super international company. They did so well in Latin America. If you go to places in Mexico to this day, you will find arcade cabinets playing King of Fighters. There's even a couple Neo Geo games. Rage of the Dragon is one. The other is Matra Melee, developed by a Mexican team, which is, you don't see a lot of Mexican fighting game developers these days. Maybe there are, and I'm just ignorant to it. But they made some pretty damn good Neo Geo games. All right, let's see here. Garou is another cool character. I might pick him to round it out. Let's get that top move going. Boom! Get away from me. See, I mean, it's such an oppressive move. If you land it, it really controls the space. All right. Doesn't he has like a knee strike, I think? Dragon punch. Something like that. Yeah. Oh, and of course I missed it, but that's fine. Boom! All right, let's see here. Okay, we're gonna do one more character. We're gonna pick another character. So soft reboot the system, and I feel like I need to pick Butt. What a sentence! What a tremendous sentence. Story. There he is. Marco Kushnud Butt. He's got a glorious pompadour. So here we are, fighting Kim Kap-hwan's nephew or son. Marco Rodriguez. Wait a minute. I think this is because it's in the Japanese version. I need that to say butt. It's going to say butt. There's no two ways about that. Let's go to options. Yes, see, it's in Japanese. It defaults in Japanese, even though the region is set to USA. That is confusing. You know what? I'm gonna guess it has something to do with the settings on this board. Maybe it's I got a bad memory deal. I don't know. I don't know. But that's future Brian's problem. There we go. See? But I did not make that up. It's important to know that I did not make that up. What up, Butt? Butt versus Terry. Alright, so he has a Hadouken. So I believe Kushnude Butt is a member of the Art of Fighting segment of SNK. So you're Yo and Robert, Mr. Karate, Takuma, all those guys. Yep, he's got a Dragon Punch. So all those characters are obviously inspired, if not wholly stolen, from Ryu from Street Fighter. As anyone with eyes would be able to tell. But you know what? It's such a part of the language of fighting games now that, like, it just doesn't... It's not even ripping off. It's like putting the correct ingredient in the soup is what it is. That's how I honestly view it with all of these fighting games. Oh, that was a big boy. But it missed. What are you going to do? Okay. Oh. Let's do... Does he have a hurricane kick? Oh, he's got that kind of a deal. That's cool. Take that, Terry. So smug. Let's do one more fight. Meet the Invincible Dragon. One more fight, one more round of fisticuffs. Okay. Whammo. Let's get this little kick in there. Oh. Jumped over and we clipped him. We got him, neighbor. All right. Let's get him. Oh, yeah. Oh, he does. Okay, is it a half circle? It is. Half circle and B does his version of a hurricane kick. Let's combo into... Oh, here. Got him. Nope, he blocked it. Blocked it like a jerk. All right. Okay, so let's do this and this and this.
I had a blast with the motto of, oh, the two quarters are choreographed. Hamster and Fell
You
Dog.
can at least hear me out. I mean, I feel like you owe me that.
You do have a lot coming to you, Mr. Haim. So, okay, that is Garou, Mark of the Wolves, the final Fatal Fury game that came out on the Neo Geo. There's some other loose ends with Fatal Fury. There's like a Hyper Neo Geo 64 version, which most of you don't even know what those words mean. And if you do, then you're a sicko oldie SNK superfan like me. But it's really, really exciting that SNK is going back to Fatal Fury and making a brand new one. Very eager for that. It looks great. I thought SNK knocked it out of the park with the most recent Samurai Showdown. So I have great faith that another Fatal Fury is going to be awesome. And it does look like it's in line with Garou. Terry's wearing the bomber jacket, all that stuff. And I'm sure they will charge a sucker like me $5 to get the old Terry outfit in DLC form, which I will hand over my money because of course I will. So yeah. Great way to start off Neo Geo Side Krisis with one of the all-time bests. So thank you for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Main show's on Spotify. A link will be in the description below. And I will keep these coming. And hopefully my assortment of Neo Geo hardware will continue holding up all these years later. So once again, thanks for watching and see you on the next one.